This is, dare I say, just a little bit of playtime. Well, 1,000 foot a minute up. Nice cold day, although having said that, it's registering 12 degrees outside. Earlier this morning when I first started the car, I had to scrape the windscreen, and it was registering 2, so looks like winter is upon us. So it's a matter of making the most of every single flying opportunity that we get. This is, dare I say, just a little bit of playtime. We had arrived expecting to do a little bit more today, go somewhere. We are booked into the Remembrance Day at Duxford tomorrow, but unfortunately I can't take this. Well, I can take this, but the problem is that you have to be on the ground by 10:30, and with a 10 o'clock restricted takeoff time on a Sunday, that means that I'm going to find that a little bit of a push. Just looking to see if I can see where John is. So basically on that, we've booked in the RV, but when we came today in order to fly, unfortunately there was a little bit of a brake fluid puddle under one of the RV wheels, so John spent some time on that. I also knew that I needed to pump up a tyre. Now, I will film it and I'll add it to this, but the problem is with the spats, which I think make the aircraft look very nice and actually perform better. With that, you actually have to sort of try and pump up through a little tiny hole. And although I put my foot pump on it, which usually works fine, somehow or other today I managed to lose the connection, and instead of pumping up I let it down. So in the end we decided that the best thing to do was to take the spats off, pump it up as well as we could do, but actually the spats were full of crud, absolutely full of crud. So I did make a suggestion that perhaps it might be sensible to leave them off. John said he thought it was a good idea. I did notice that there were a couple of little repairs that I could be doing to one of them, so I'll take those back with me today and we'll just have a little fly around. I don't know whether you can see from that back camera, take it that the back camera is working. Yeah, it's not looking that brilliant in that direction, so we might just go and have a little look and see what it says. But yeah, this is just a bit of a bonus flight, a chance to get into the air. I'm on John's tail. I doubt if you can see it, but and it won't last very long. When he puts a mind to it, he'll just open up and leave me standing. That carbon monoxide detector is reading 0, which is quite nice for a while. It has been triggered as we come into land, as I may have shown you.
Is I will film this because that carbon monoxide tester is sending an alarm like mad, saying that the levels are high.
But what was interesting was when I mentioned it first of all in the formation with Matt video, I did make a mistake. I called it a CO2 detector, which of course is not what it should be, because it should be a CO detector. I'm not quite sure why I said it, but sometimes the brain just says these weird and wonderful things. But yeah, it's working okay. I did put a link in that video to Amazon, which is where I got it from. Well, Dad got it. I'm not saying it's the bee's knees. It's quite interesting because it does actually give a flashing alarm and an audio alarm, which isn't, I haven't actually got it set up with the system, but yeah, just keeping an eye out for John. I can see where he is. So yeah, it doesn't come up through the headphones or anything, but the old standard spot there wasn't showing anything even when this was actually flashing red. But I tend to find that if it does start flagging up that there's a problem, I just open the vent just a little bit, and flooding the cockpit seems to make a difference. It's a very clear day. I haven't got the side camera. As I say, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going anywhere new or different or whatever. And because of the curvature here, it's very difficult to get a nice, clean, crisp shot. And it's a shame because we do have some lovely scenery around here and colours can be really nice. But no, I was saying that with that CO2 mistake was picked up by a couple of people, which is good because it actually goes to show that people are watching and taking note. I do say if you feel you want to make a comment, then make a comment. It's nice to have feedback. It's always nice to get positive feedback, of course, but if somebody feels that there's a developmental area, then by all means share it. But I think one of the biggest contentious debates with any of this is the choice of music. If people put music on, I do sometimes. I sometimes feel that if I'm doing a lot of talking or I've got passengers and we're all talking, it doesn't need anything. But then sometimes I think that if I go quiet, doesn't happen very often, but if I go quiet, there might be bits and pieces that I want to show people, and I actually think, well, it needs just a little something else to keep people's interest. But the moment you put a piece of music on, then one man's meat is another man's poison. I know I was using something at one stage, and Seeper John was saying, oh, don't use that music. He really didn't like it very much. Can't remember which one it was now. But yeah, each to their own. John suddenly came alongside me. I'm trying to keep reasonably steady so that he's got a target if he chooses to. He's going down and underneath me at the moment. There we are. Come on his tail just for a minute or two. Oh, maybe it is worthwhile putting this one on. Although having said that, he's now decided to pull away from me, which is not that difficult. I'm going to run down the river a little bit. Hopefully the back camera will pick up the bridge. As will that camera now. Well, the CO meter has just started to flash 13, so I opened up the vent and it's brought it back to 0. Thank you, John. Well, very similar to the trip with Duncan. It's actually looking pretty yucky in that direction. So that camera's got a bad view, this camera's got a okay, well, it hasn't got an okay view. It's, I'm hardly Brad Pitt or whatever, but hey ho. Nayland traffic, Golf Over Yankee Echo Hotel is approaching the overhead Nayland traffic.
got you on my left wing.
And keeping the speed up and keeping in fairly close this time. John's up high. He'll probably stay in the overhead until I go base or even final. Definite line of something coming across there. Hopefully the weather is kind enough to let us get to Duxford tomorrow. Okay, mixture is rich. Fuel pump is on. I'm on the front tank. Carbon monoxide is saying 26, so I better give myself some air. Although I have to say I don't feel anything. But I suppose that's the thing about it. Carbon monoxide poisoning just creeps up on you, doesn't it? So a little bit of air, and we'll see whether he brings it down from 26. Mainland traffic, Golf Alpha Yankee Echo Hotel, turning final, mainland traffic.
Mainland traffic, Golf Juliet Bravo's joining this side.
Thought I'd better take the sunglasses off because it looks as if I was going to need a night rating. Saw Martin a little while ago before we took off with his model, so hopefully giving him time enough to clear that out of the way. Although I said I was going to fly a tight circuit, it's still not immensely tight. In the Nord, before the problems with the mill and everything, I used to fly in right tucked inside here. Oh, interesting little bobble. Can't say I noticed much of a difference with the without the wheel fairings. Oh well, safely back down on the ground. If there was a video and you have been watching it, hopefully you enjoyed it. Tick like, leave me a comment, share with anybody you think might be interested, subscribe if you haven't, and see you next week.